I'm Karen Starks. I am 64 and 6 months old. I reside in Columbia, a native of Columbia. I am retired, retired early after about 10 and a half years of being a caregiver for family members. And I am also an ordained minister, but I am not a pastor, and minister is more of the emphasis. I am working with my family right now to develop a plan to preserve property that my great grandfather purchased and left to us. And I was reflecting just this morning that I am sure at this point in my life, it is my passion because I am sometimes spending time doing things and I look up and I've spent hours and not realized it. But it also is important in that my grandfather, with little education in the 1920s, purchased this property. And so I'm the fourth generation, and we have a responsibility to try to be good stewards of that land. I remember it clearly because I was here in Columbia at Bethel AME Church. There was a revival that was happening that week, and I was excited. Jeremiah Wright was here. It was that Tuesday or Wednesday, and he was not the speaker, so we had another speaker. It was okay, but it wasn't what. But afterwards, they had invited us to go to another church, which was Turner AME in West Columbia, for a repast. And I said, okay, I'll go. Went there. This is probably about 9:30, quarter to 10. And we sat down and we noticed all of the people kind of huddling over in a corner, and everybody was on their cell phone and nobody was saying anything. Till about 10:15 or so, they announced that there had been this mass shooting and that some were in critical condition. We found out the more details later, early in the morning of that night. And it was unbelievable, hard to wrap your mind around it, and then also just blew me away. And again, I'm sure like everybody else, violence is violence wherever, but the circumstances for a teen to come in, sit through a service in a church with the intention of trying to create that atmosphere for a race war. I find it appalling, and it still makes me gasp. The people who were killed, I knew only one, but I recognized that there were 4 to 5 clergy in that group. I had visited Mother Emanuel many times. My mother is an ordained elder in the AME Church, so I've been affiliated with that denomination. And my sister worked with one of those who had been killed. I was, of course, familiar with Clementi Pinckney, and his work is still relevant. It's a travesty. It's a slap in the face that they have not yet, this state has not seen fit to pass the Pinckney hate crimes bill. When it was announced, we were all asked to stand and join in prayer, and I think 2 or 3 ministers attending offered prayers. And even at that awesome point in time, there were those who expressed the desire that this not be an event that tore up our cities, our country. And at that time, again, we did not know who all had perished, been murdered, not perished, murdered. 10 years later, I can say that Jesus hanging on the cross said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." I interpret that to mean there are some things that it is very difficult in a human relationship, in human form, to forgive. This is one of those for me. I was raised all my life in the Christian faith. I understand that we want to move towards forgiveness. I think sometimes, though, we are asked to move towards forgiveness so quickly, and we don't take the time to grieve and to realize that the process of grieving is not limited to 2 months or 3 months or 1 year. With something like this, it should be lamented, reflected upon every year. And for my sister, I know there are things during the days that can trigger a thought. There are events that you would have looked to see certain people and you no longer see them. So I, like others, I'm sure, am working through this process of forgiveness. I think what is more difficult even than what I expect, what I would want in terms of justice, what is more difficult is to live in South Carolina and to know that 10 years ago, there were all of these outpourings of empathy and sympathy and how horrible, and yes, united, but that today, 6 years ago, 2020, but especially today, words are not lining up with actions. And that disturbs me deeply. Clear that we are in some of the most dangerous times ever in my lifetime. We are regressing. I feel that there is more overt expressions of hatred and racism. It infuriates me. I'm going to say that. It infuriates me to hear leaders speak of people who reside here, who work here, as illegal aliens. Just no civility, no humanity, no regard for those who are poor. We like to say on the margins, those who are not economically rich in terms of policies. There has been an intention to undo 50 years of progress. And to know that there are people who have been strategically plotting, planning, investing their money with a plan to wipe away those gains. I can only say, God help us. God help us. Well, the cumulative effect of all of this is that one finds oneself dealing with depression, trying to maintain hope despite what you see. You feel it physically in your body. And it's, it's at times you can't even put it into words. I was listening to a song on the way in, and this is where I would like to end. The song says, "Keep the dream alive, don't let it die." And if there's something deep inside that inspires you to try,
Thank you, Karen.
And speak with courage. I'm at a point now where I understand older people speak their mind. They don't try to dress it up. I'm moving into that age. And I feel it's courageous in these times to speak your mind.